I finished solo leveling after basically a couple weeks ago. I said that I haven't really seen it or had some complaints with the show, but I have finished it and I kind of wanted to do a little bit of a recap and a little bit of a revision, I guess you'd say, to what I've previously said. So, first off, we're going to say this 100%. Solo leveling is good at its core. I think there is some plot points that the show takes away from like the manga essentially to the point where, or the manhwa, sorry, uh, to the point where you do kind of lose a little bit of that humanity and get a little bit of that disconnect between you and the character. I think Sung Jinwoo, they really like play him up to still be human. I think like his scene with his mother, where he is resurrecting his mother, is incredibly good in the show and in the manhwa. Uh, but they still do cut out a lot of the in between parts, right? They cut out the parts where he doesn't care about people around him. They cut out the parts where he was actually like kind of a little shy to talk to like the blonde hunter. Sorry, I'm blanking her name right now. But there was just like some parts like that you kind of got that vibe with, that he already kind of liked, the blonde hunter, or there's parts where he didn't care about people less than what they perceived in the show. Like the scene where spoilers, I've already said, spoilers obviously, but the part in the show where they go into the Tiger Guild's gate and it turns red, and he's with like the other E rank hunter that's like his sister's friend. If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. There's a scene like almost right off the bat where he like grabs her, catches this arrow, and it kind of almost is weird. It kind of almost forces this girl to kind of swoon over him a little bit. Not saying like they become something, but she kind of in the show they make her swoon over him. Where in the manhwa, he just kind of walks in front of her or pushes her out of the way almost and just grabs the arrow. Like it's more aura farming than what the show did. And I actually really like the way that the manhwa did it, is because it completely disconnects, this 26, what is he, 26, 28-year old guy from this high school student who is like maybe 14, 15 years old. Uh, and I think that's something that people don't really talk about a lot, is like they put a lot of scenes like that in the anime where you're like, yeah, I kind of get it, but it's also just kind of weird. Like, why are we farming this? He has a actual love interest in the show. There's 0 point in farming like a further on love interest, and yeah, there's just so many like little scenes like that. I will say, if you are looking for new anime or something, that solo leveling is good, especially if you don't know any of the context behind what goes into the show. Like, it's just a good show. Uh, but I do wish that they just added a little bit more of those background scenes that show how like almost cold-hearted he becomes, but show the parts where he's still human. And I'm really hoping going into like season 3 they farm that a lot more, because season 3, if you haven't read the manhwa, this is going to be a little bit of spoilers, but season 3 should basically be him getting his full power, and then him and his boy heading over to America to like talk, and then he just has like a full blown crash out. I hope that's not too much spoilers. I mean, they've already kind of shown that stuff, but um, that's the best way I can put it. And I hope that they show that in a very very emotional sense, because after season 2, going into like season 3, if you were actually following the books essentially, then him and like the guy who basically pays for all their dungeons and everything become so close that they're like borderline brothers, and they show this a lot through the rest of the manhwa. I will still disagree to the end of time. This is a very very far spoiler, so if you don't want to hear it, I'm sorry. Uh, but at the very very end, I still don't understand why they reverse time. Just genuinely, with how the show's going, it wouldn't make sense at all, because they take out a lot of the individual scenes. Like they try to make him care for the public a lot more than he does, And in the manhwa, it's still confusing me because it didn't really seem like he cared about the public too much outside of like, obviously he doesn't just want everybody to be obliterated, but he also didn't really care one way or another if a gate opened on top of your house. He's like, oh, well, that's sad. I think like Juju Island is a good example of that, where maybe he starts to learn that he actually should just go places to just wipe things out easier because he doesn't want everybody to get annihilated. But yeah, I don't know. I think there will definitely be an interesting time. I think the next time we make a video about solo leveling, it will probably be way, way down the line, probably like when they're finished with the series. Just because, unless I want to talk about Ragnarok at some point, I really don't want to because I don't like Ragnarok. But yeah, like I will say, when season 3 drops, if it's going to work the way I believe it should work, you guys are going to get like, or not you guys, but us, we're gonna get like one of the singular best scenes in the entire show, which is when he gets his full power. Like, if they do it properly, it's gonna be insane. Because how I imagine the show would cut it down realistically would be a solo fight to keep up the solo leveling appearance. When in reality, like he goes in and everybody is so concerned about him, like everybody he's ever met. So this is like crazy spoilers, right? But like they create a massive raid party essentially to like go and save him, and it is a nuts fight that he gets into, and that's probably the last fight throughout the entire series where you're actually slightly panicked that he's gonna lose. At least for me, it was. Uh, yeah, it's just definitely like one of the biggest ore farms, one of the biggest and coolest scenes too. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about today was Solo Leveling. It's a good show. I kind of stand on some of the things I said before, but I wanted to do a little bit more of a recap once, obviously, my thoughts were a little bit more there. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.